So how did you get the idea of Ultramons in the first place?
So it all started in 2022 when I moved here from India. All of my board games were stuck on a ship and I was really bored. And then we spent a year with like Kickstarter and just promoting it and getting it manufactured.
So can you tell me the entire manufacturing process?
Yeah, so after we talked to the manufacturers, we had to like give them our designs and like we had to figure out the box dimensions and like the card dimensions. And we had to create images specifics to them so they could print it out properly.
Welcome, friends. In today's episode, you're going to hear how a 10-year-old created his own full-fledged board game, what it really takes to go from hand-drawn ideas to a manufactured product. And keep watching till the end of this video, because not only does Palash share his own tips and tricks on how to create a board game, he also tells you how to launch your own Kickstarter campaign. Now let's get started. Palash, thank you so much for joining me on the Will and Way podcast.
Thanks, Anya.
So Palash, can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, I'm Palash Bhaseen and I'm the creator of Ultramons. I'm 12 years old and I'm in 7th grade. Some of my hobbies are reading, coding, and playing video games.
I love reading too. And you talked about Ultramons. So can you tell us who haven't played the game before what Ultramons is?
Yeah, so Ultramons is a fast-paced monster combat board game. It's perfect for 2 to 4 players age 7 and up. You can play with friends, families, and even on game night. In the game, each player gets monster cards called Ultramons, and then they place it on their battlefield. The objective of the game is to defeat all of your monsters' Ultramons.
So how did you get the idea of Ultramons in the first place?
So it all started in 2022 when I moved here from India. All of my board games were stuck on a ship, and I was really bored. I had no friends and no games, so I started drawing monsters, and I created a simple game around it that we played each evening. So every time my parents won, I came back with stronger monsters to try and beat them. So this continued on for 7 months until my board game finally arrived, and Ultramons was laid to the side. Until one day, when one of my father's friends came over and we showed him the game, and he seeded the idea of turning this into a real product. So after that, we became more serious into turning Ultramons into a real board game.
That's a really long journey from start to finish. How did the name Ultramons come to be?
I don't really know, but like Ultramons and like Ultra Monsters. So, yeah.
Was Ultramons influenced by any of the board games you previously played, as I heard you mention you love playing board games?
Well, not really. I don't have lots of influences, but I like really love monsters and like monster battles. So that inspired me.
So how did you design the board game?
So we had 4 important decisions to design the board game. So the first one was the board structure. So our board has our board has 2 zones. The attack zone, in which you place Ultramons with whom you want to attack with, and they can be attacked too. And then the reserve zone is the bottom row. So you place Ultramons there that you want to reserve for later. So they can't be attacked and they can't attack.
Okay.
And then the second decision we had to make was power levels. So I wanted to balance out the levels. So some monsters have weak health but strong attack, and some have strong health but weak attack, and some are just in the middle. And then the third decision was injured Ultramons. So when a weak Ultramon attacks a strong Ultramon, it can injure it. So with multiple attacks, the strong Ultramon can die. We added this so it wouldn't be too unfair to strong Ultramons versus weak Ultramons. And then the fourth decision was special cards. So these cards give Ultramons special abilities like splitting their attack into 2 so they can attack 2 Ultramons, or like letting 2 Ultramons combine their powers so they can attack your opponent.
That's a really strategic game. That takes a lot of creativity. How did you illustrate all of these components of the game?
My original design was on paper, and then I took photos and I digitalized it on Procreate. And then at the time, my dad was experimenting with like AI, like DALL-E. So I prompt engineered and tried to create images that were like similar to my creations, and I eventually came out with a lot of good images.
So you took the images that you had hand drawn,
Yeah.
you put them into an AI, and what was the next step after that?
Well, the next step was designing the cards. So my dad used Inkscape to like design like the name, the health, and like the image in the center, and then like the powers.
So your prototype was ready. Now, how did you playtest your board?
Yeah, so my first playtest was with friends and families. And then our second step were like playtesting on like board game nights, like at Bellevue Square and like other board gaming shops. So a really important feedback we got was lowering the health and attack powers. So at first we had 3-digit numbers, so the math was really hard. So now we reduced it to 1-digit numbers like 9 and 5.
Yeah, feedback is an important part of any board game. How did your friends and family react when they saw that you had a board game and they played it for the first time?
Yeah, they really loved it. They really loved all the characters and the powers, and they really enjoyed it.
Were they surprised or excited that you had created your very own board game?
Yeah, they're really excited and like proud.
So what changes did you have to make, as you mentioned one, from the early prototype to the final?
So, so we had a lot of changes. So some were like adding like special powers and like, like as I said before, balancing out the powers so they're like more fair, and just like adding like counters for like cooldowns and like injured health tokens.
So how different was it comparatively from your early unrefined board game to your final ready board game?
It was really different.
Really?
Yeah, so on my first prototype, like, I didn't have like a lot of cards, so like there were like too many fire Ultramons and like barely any water Ultramons, so I had to like draw more. And there wasn't really like rules. We just like had monsters and then we just like attacked with each other. We didn't have like boards at all, so yeah.
That's a real journey. So once you had your prototype, can you talk a little bit about the manufacturing process after your board game was ready?
Yeah, so one of my dad's friends had already launched a board game before, so we got a few references and talked to the manufacturers, and we had to like scale and like create like we had to like scale and like define the box dimensions for like all the printing and stuff. And then we talked to the manufacturers and like got an amount that we needed. So the amount of funding we needed. So then we took that amount and we created a Kickstarter.
Can you talk a little bit more about the Kickstarter campaign? How long was the development from idea to finish?
Yeah, so it was almost 2.5 years.
2.5
Yeah, so we spent 1.5 years playtesting, and then we spent a year with like Kickstarter and just promoting it and getting it manufactured.
So can you tell me the entire manufacturing process?
Yeah, so after we talked to the manufacturers, we had to like give them our designs, and like we had to figure out the box dimensions and like the card dimensions, and we had to like create images specifics to them so they could print it out properly, and then they sent us a sample, and after we okayed the sample, they started the print.
So how much does it cost to manufacture one full board game?
So it cost like around $40.
How did you fund for all of the board games?
So started a Kickstarter, and I promoted it to all my friends and on like Facebook and Instagram. And our original funding goal was 10,000, but we got 131%. So we got 13,000 funding. So that was really great.
How much?
It costs about $20.
So can you tell us more about the Kickstarter campaign that you had?
Yeah, so our goal was 10,000, and we managed to fund 13,000. And we had a couple of Kickstarter special exclusives. Like we had one where the mat was like it wasn't a board, it was a mat. And we had one where we sold some foil Ultramon cards in the box. And we also had like the normal version with both the expansions bundle.
So, if our audience wanted to have their own Kickstarter campaign, can you tell them how they should go about doing it?
Yeah, so first of all, you don't need to worry about like having like a full finished game to start a Kickstarter. You just need like a prototype. And like the Kickstarter is just to like get support for your item or your game. And like and yeah, just like you just have to like share it around to your like friends, families, and like or like Facebook and like social media.
So, you had the manufacturing cost and then you had the Kickstarter where you funded for it. How much did you sell your board game for?
Yeah, so my board game sells for around like 40 to 45, and the expansions are $20 each.
What platforms do you sell Ultramons on?
Yeah, so we sell Ultramons on our website, ultramons.com, and now it's available on walmart.com too. And it's available at a few retail stores in Seattle, and we're working on making it available on Amazon.
Nice. Well, you mentioned marketing. So what marketing strategies do you use to bring awareness to Ultramons?
Yeah, so first I go to the entrepreneur fairs to promote Ultramons, and second, I run ads on Facebook and other social media platforms.
Has Ultramons been profitable yet?
Yeah, it's gaining popularity, and we've been selling at least one board game each day from our website, and yeah.
So Palash, where do you see Ultramons in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, I see it being profitable, and I see it having lots of expansion packs, like such as like a winter themed or like a Halloween themed expansion pack.
And what role have your parents played throughout your entire Ultramons journey?
Yeah, well, my parents have been really encouraging and supportive towards Ultramons, and they really helped me in marketing and just, manufacturing and like, yeah.
Is there anyone else who you think has been with you for a lot of the journey or who's been really supportive and encouraging?
Well, all my friends and families who play tested my game and, and my parents.
What is the biggest lesson you've learned from designing to manufacturing to kickstarting Ultramons?
That like it's hard, but like you just have to like persevere and like if there's like ever feedback, just like take it, even if it's like good or bad. Feedback can really change things.
That's a really good piece of advice that is helpful for all parts of life. How has your journey with Ultramons changed how you think about school?
Well, hasn't really changed how much I think about school that much, but it's just like, it really, I learned a lot of stuff with Ultramons that I would not have learned in school.
Can you give one example of something that you learned that you wouldn't have usually learned at school?
Like the designing part, or like making the rule book, for example, or like, thinking about like the rules and like the strategies in the game.
So true. And if you could go back and change one thing in your entire process, what would that be? How has this business helped how you think about learning at school?
Well, I just think that like everything I learned in school was implemented in making the board game. Like, like math and like measurements and like dimensions and like just like other stuff like that could be used in real life.
Have you ever felt stuck and how did you push through those moments?
Well, one time I felt stuck was creating like fun gameplay. So I was like really struggling to like balance out the rules and like create like fun gameplay. Like we just had monster cards, so like then we added special cards, which really like changed the gameplay and like added more fun stuff.
Is there one mistake you made early on that changed the course of where Ultramons was going?
No, I don't think so.
What is one advice you would give to someone who wants to start their own board game or create their own board game?
Yeah, so I would just say that, like, don't, like, lose focus and, like, just don't, like, just don't, like, give up when you, like, get stuck, and just, just, like, keep persevering, just, stick with it.
And what is one fun fact you would say or one interesting thing that happened to you in the entire process that you think the audience would like to know?
Think about interest. Well, I guess it could be that I was really good at math, and that the numbers were high before for, like, the health and the attack. And then, like, I was really surprised when the playtesters couldn't do the math.
That is really interesting. Thank you for sharing that. So now let's see some of the Ultramons board games.
So, this is our deluxe edition. So this is our base game. This comes with 4 boards. And let me show you the 4 boards. So, this is our rule book, and this is one of our boards. Here are some cards, some counters.
Looks so professional.
This is just a sample version. So I can get the board. Okay, this is our light version. So this doesn't come with the 4 boards, but you can still play it normally. This is for, like, travel and stuff. And this is one of our expansion packs. It comes with stronger Ultramons and stronger special powers. And this is our second expansion pack. It comes with even stronger monsters and special cards. And this is our base game.
Thank you so much for showing all of these board games. They're so cool, so interesting. And after you created the base game, then did you decide to create more?
Well, I just had so many monsters that we had to divide it into 2 expansion packs.
Thank you. Ash, now we've come to our Will and Way rapid fire round. No thinking, first answers only. Ready? A board game of all time?
Ultramons.
Would you rather have homework disappear forever or school start at noon?
School started at noon.
Favorite video game?
Roblox.
If you could instantly be amazing at one random thing, what would it be?
Public speaking.
The hardest part of making the game?
Strategy.
If you could ban one thing forever, what would it be?
School.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
Entrepreneur.
What's a rule you would make if you were in charge of the world for one day?
Cool.
What's
Me, a social media dancer.
If you could add one ridiculous power to an Ultramon, what would it be?
Kill every single Ultramon on the board.
Thank you, Palash, and thank you so much for joining me on the Will and Way podcast.
You're welcome.
I hope you enjoyed the conversation, and I certainly learned a lot. That's a wrap. Thank you, friends, for watching today's episode of the Will and Way podcast. I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Palash Bhaseen. To get more amazing kidpreneurs on the channel, please like, subscribe, and share this with a friend. Until next time, remember, where there's a will, there's a way.